Welcome back to Hardware Unboxed. Steve and I have started a podcast, the Hardware Unboxed podcast, which has a very imaginative name. But you can listen or watch the first episode right now if you are interested over on our new YouTube channel, the Hardware Unboxed podcast. So first episode is up there right now for you to enjoy. If you just want to listen to the audio version, that should also be available hopefully now, but pending that soon through all your favorite podcast apps. It is an audio format show, so you should be able to enjoy it through all of those places. But anyway, Steve and I were planning to record an episode of the show today. We thought, yeah, let's get it started. Let's kick off the show. And then, of course, Gamers Nexus dropped this massive video talking about Linus Tech Tips and their testing practices. So the first episode of the podcast does include quite a lengthy discussion, goes for over an hour, talking about that video, just our general thoughts on testing and things like that. So yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy that discussion. But for you on the main channel, just for this one-off time, probably not going to do too many more podcast snippets on this main channel, but just for this one time, we will be putting a few snippets from that discussion after this. So yeah, if you're interested, give it a listen, see what it's like. If you like that sort of thing that we've been talking about, you find that interesting, then go over, listen to the show, the full thing. It's very much like a Q&A or Patreon exclusive live stream sort of vibe. So yeah, if you're interested in that, then I'm sure that you'll find that discussion interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Let's get on to the clips. That pretty much brings us to the Gamers Nexus video, because while you were sort of making some of those comments about Gamers Nexus, Linus Tech Tips, testing not being necessarily up to scratch. Mm-hmm. The Gamers Nexus video is like all of that. The dial has been dialed up to 10, broken, set to 12, then broken again, because there were many examples in their video of errors that they've made. It's interesting because I see some of those errors, and I think the one thing, as you said, everyone makes mistakes, right? Like we've made mistakes on the channel, we've made corrections, and things go wrong. Sometimes you don't catch something, or something just doesn't go right. You make an error, you accidentally copy the wrong data into a chart, into a spec table. That always happens. But I think one of the issues that was really highlighted by Gamers Nexus video, and something that we've chatted about before, is that some of the errors really should be getting caught by someone in the production pipeline. Like, just some of the margins and things are larger than what is possible from those parts. Like you compare one GPU to another GPU and it's like 300% faster, as was shown with that 4090 example. And then surely something like that should be being caught by someone in the production process. And I think that's where I get a bit frustrated by some of the LTT content, is when, like making a small mistake, like getting the cache of a CPU wrong because you've copied and pasted it from the wrong thing. Sure, okay, I can sort of forgive that. But a major error like that, which is so visible in a chart, I guess just doesn't really show much oversight into what's going on.
Yeah, I think as Steve from Gamers Nexus said, it exposes a lack of experience, because I think, well, certainly myself, Steve from Gamers Nexus, you as well, even though you don't do a whole lot of GPU testing, that results straight away. Like you would only need to glance at that graph for a nanosecond and you'd be like, I've got a question. There seems to be some data there that doesn't make sense. I don't even know how something like that makes it to the final product. And generally, when I make or do a day one review, I do that largely myself. So we've now got a video editor, Balin, who collects all of the B-roll, edits the video in, and once he's finished doing that, then I'll proof it and make sure there's no mistakes. But I'm just one set of eyes and one brain, and sometimes I say dumb stuff and I hear it again and it just doesn't register as being dumb stuff. So I'll get Tim to watch the content. And then basically once Balin's watched it, I've watched it, and Tim's watched it, we're pretty good to send it. And even then, sometimes something small may slip through and we'll have to pin a comment. But generally speaking, they're usually pretty good. We certainly haven't released anything like what Gamers Nexus showed in that video. But also, people have brought these things to our attention before. It gets posted on our Discord. And I'm talking about the LTT data being very wrong. People let us know about it. But my response has sort of been, I'm not the benchmark police. Like, I'm not out here to try and tear LTT down or point to their mistakes because, as you have acknowledged and I've acknowledged, we're only human as well. It'd be very hypocritical of us to say, "Oh, LTT made a mistake here. Everyone give them a hard time," because we've made mistakes before. It happens, and I know I don't. I'm not saying either that's what Gamers Nexus were doing. Gamers Nexus were more like, look, when you call us out by name, you want to make sure, as I said earlier, that all of your stuff is buttoned up and perfect. And here is some really bad things that you've overlooked. And here's some of the smaller stuff. And Steve said, look, the smaller stuff, we can kind of forgive, pin a comment. We make mistakes as well. But you can't have these big, huge errors regularly happening and, name us as one of the media outlets that you do something better than. Like, Gamers Nexus I consider to be the golden standard for day one reviews. They're certainly up there as some of the best day one reviews. And if I was ever going to call Gamers Nexus out and say, we do something better, or I want to see this better from Gamers Nexus, I'd want to make sure that my last 6 videos had been pretty well flawless. So, as you say, you open yourself up to criticism there when you make those comments. And look, if I made a comment about LTT often being wrong or having issues, and I did that in a tweet or a video, then if people pointed out that we make mistakes as well, I'd just cop that on the chin. I'd be like,
Again, making mistakes is fine. No issue with making mistakes, but making mistakes is a learning exercise. You make a mistake and it's all about your response and how you learn from that and improve for next time. And I swear that every time that we have made some sort of error, especially a bigger error, something that would require us to edit a video, take down a video, pin a correction. So not like copying a table wrong, so you get a spec wrong, but like a data error or something like that. You learn from that for next time. So you sort of go, oh, well, I didn't quite correctly, configure that game. So the testing data turned out to be wrong, or, we realized too late that every time you restart the game, the settings changes. So by the time we got to production, it turns out that we had overlooked that. So next time we're going to make sure we go through and we check every setting after every restart. And even things like monitor testing where, we miss things like scan lines in a monitor or something. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't really have much of a test process for that. So people bring it into your attention. You're like, you missed this in your content. You didn't cover this. It's a really important deal breaker flaw or something. So you implement that for the next time. And I think one of the issues with the LMG stuff, again, isn't making the mistakes. It's that they're making mistakes and then repeating the mistakes in a future video. So they're not necessarily learning from making those sorts of errors. So, many of those examples that Gamers Nexus brought up were over quite a span of time where there were inconsistencies, people not noticing results that don't make sense. And I would have thought that after, let's say, the 4090 example was brought up where they had the 300% greater, that chart was shown, that you would then implement having someone knowledgeable about the product reviewing the videos so that those things don't get caught. But then you see there's more examples. There's another example and another example. And it seems like LMG has got some internal issues there where I guess they're not able to implement that. There's just not the experience there. There's not the right process. There's not the right person there. I don't think it's like Linus's fault specifically. Like it's not on Linus. It's a management and organizational thing at the company and about how they're producing things and how that differs from a company like Gamers Nexus that only has, how many do they have, like 6, 7 employees? There's not as many steps to get content out. So there's there's going to be people closer to making the content that are involved with some of those production related things.
It's really tough to get the experience that's required to produce day one reviews at the level they need to be produced at now on YouTube. The standard's very high. You can't afford to make silly mistakes, let's say. Little ones, people will forgive you to a degree, like you say, like getting a spec in a table wrong or like the cache figure wrong, like that. They're last minute things that are often done by the editor, though it seemed like it was in the script as well, but that's forgivable. But getting, major things wrong, things that can really impact the conclusion of the product review, that's not good. This is sort of separate to this issue, what I'm about to say, but we often get people either on our Discord or in our comment section or on Twitter reaching out to us saying, Linus's team or Linus himself stuffed this up again. They're the absolute worst. They're misleading. They're anti-consumer. They're just the worst thing ever is what they're trying to say. and you guys should do a hit piece and tear them down and do all this and that. And obviously, we've never done that. And we've been asked live when we're doing our Patreon live streams, what do you guys think of Linus and LTT? Like, I think they're personally the worst ever because of reasons. What do you guys think? And we've had plenty of opportunities to, rip or talk poorly of Linus, behind his back or even on the main channel. We haven't done that because I honestly believe when we've been asked about this is what I've said in the past, and I think you agree, Tim, that I think Linus and LTT, or the organization in general, has been of net benefit for the PC industry and consumers. I think the good they've done certainly outweighs any issues. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be criticized for those issues, because if they haven't been improving through their own sort of processes, then someone probably should point that out and help them along. But I think they've done a good thing for PC gaming and PC. I think because of Linus, there's a lot more people now who, they're almost like a gateway for GN. I think there's a lot more people now who research their parts and what they're buying. There's a lot less people who are sucked into the marketing. I mean, again, I know that people who disagree with me, but this is my opinion. I think, there are a lot more people now who are looking at other resources, doing research, building their own computer, learning about how computers work, and just getting more involved in the whole process than they would have if they hadn't have found Linus. And I think there's just a bigger audience on YouTube and in general for tech stuff. I think that, a lot of us have Linus to thank for blowing up that hobbyist, enthusiast type industry and making it what it is today. I think he plays a big part in that. And I think that should be recognized. And again, it doesn't excuse any mistakes or anything that they've done wrong. But I personally think Linus is of net benefit. And I hope that they can tighten up and improve on these things, because that'll be great for them and everyone else. Yeah, that's basically my thoughts on Linus and
I agree.
LTT.